ReefDudes is sponsored by Ecotech Marine and Bulk Reef Supply. Today we're talking about how to care for Goniopora. What's going on, guys? Devin from ReefDudes. So today we're talking about how to care for Goniopora, those little beautiful flower pot corals. They're just absolutely mesmerizing. You know, having those polyps swing in the flow just looks so awesome. Now I've been keeping these guys on and off for years. When I first started reefing, I wasn't as successful with them, but I'd say the last 4 years or so I've been, doing awesome with them. And I guess the best example would probably be the main 3 or 4 that I have in my water box, which started as little tiny frags, and I grew them out. Now they're, over the size of a baseball or a grapefruit type of thing. They're huge, and they look awesome. I really do love them, so much so that the tank behind me, I'm turning into more of a Goniopora dominant tank, which I think will be really cool. I even put a ton of my nano, which are all doing well. So yeah, definitely love them. And I get asked all the time, how do you care for them? What's the secret to success? What do you do with them? Now, there's a few different things. So lighting wise, I find they tend to do well in kind of lower to medium light. They can absolutely take highlight and you can adapt them to it. But I'd say the majority of them are kind of that 100 to 200 par range is a good happy medium for them. Anywhere from about 50 to 150, you're probably safe though, to be honest. They're fairly forgiving on the lower end of the spectrum, and you're usually safer to have them in lower light than too high light. But again, you can adapt them. Flow wise, I find they can actually handle a lot of flow. You want to see those tentacles going in the flow. You want to see them moving all over the place. Like that makes them happy. Too low flow, you won't see much polyp movement, and I would definitely crank that up. Obviously, you want to be blasting off the flesh, but I think they can handle more than most people think. Now, as for kind of keeping them, I find they're happy with just the standard parameters, of elk, 7 to 11, calcium 380, 450 type of thing. Magnesium, I tend to keep mine a little bit higher, so I usually are in more 1350, 1400-ish. So I do keep mine a bit higher. I don't know if that's related to them at all, but that seems to work for me. I also find they do like to have higher nutrients. So if you're in you're bottoming out your phosphates and nitrates, I don't think they'll be as happy. Most of my tanks run higher nutrients. So, I'm on the high side of nitrates and phosphates, and the gonis seem to love it because they all seem to thrive and do well in my systems. As for the trace element side, I do think this is a big chunk of success with them. Like there's manganese in certain ones that are supposedly more beneficial to gonis. I do dose broad spectrum traces, like I used to, do the moonshiners on and off. I'm dosing my nano, I'm dosing alpha reef, same with that tank. I'm dosing A and K alongside my calcium reactor on the big tank. And before that I was using Brightwell, so I've always been kind of keeping up on trace elements. And I do think that is a good chunk for them to thrive long term. But if you're new to gonis, another big consideration is getting ones that are aquaculture or coming fragged off of from a hobbyist tank that's been keeping them for a while, because they're kind of tanked, hardened in a sense. I have imported lots, and most of them have been thriving. I think I lost one and the rest have been great. So overall, you can absolutely do freshly imported ones, but again, they can be a little more finicky. You got to make sure there's no pests on them. You got to make sure they may take a little bit more time to adapt in. But generally, I've found that anyone I've picked up that's been hobby raised has been fairly easy from that extent. So yeah, definitely don't be afraid of gonis. Honestly, they're pretty easy as long as you have a stable tank and are keeping up on your parameters. This is a relatively new tank, they're all thriving in there. So pretty easy, even with my nano, there's tons in there and they all look great. So yeah, definitely one of my favorite corals lately and one I've been obsessed with. So hopefully that helps some of you guys keep them. If you have any more comments specifically on gonis, let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.